afternoon, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to present my topic in the 8th International Conference on Education. So the topic is going to be today for improving user experience with online learning using analytical comparisons between instructors and students of Qatar University. So to introduce myself, I'm Hamad Albuainain, currently working in Qatar Gas Operating Company as a head of engineering studies. Believes in the power of knowledge and experience that has no limits. I began my journey with oil and gas since almost 2011 as a process engineering developee, directly after being graduated from Qatar University with a bachelor degree in chemical engineering. And I'm currently working in the progress to achieve my dreams of being a successful leader aimed to excellence, adding values to state of Qatar and worldwide. My biggest accomplishment as of now is by successfully managing a team of multidisciplinary engineers within engineering and project group, being responsible in development of Gate 1 and 2 packages for all category projects in Qatar Gas Operating Company, in line with the strategic national visions of Qatar 2023. So as I said earlier, I am available here in Qatar. It's morning hours, as you can see right now. It's almost 7 a.m. here in Qatar. So I would like to go ahead with my thesis outline. So my thesis is going to be outlined as following. I will just give you a brief about abstracts, then I will go to the acknowledgement, thesis statement, research focus, research aim and objectives, importance of this study, organization of the dissertation, some literature reviews on the concept that been studied, methodology, then result and discussion, and finally conclusion and discussion. Okay, so to talk about the little bit as an overall of the study is about the abstract. The main focus here we are going to challenge is that the growing new market of the online learning has been marked by the increasing technology development in the virtual reality and influenced by the emotional intelligence. So the growing interest in the new technology research and implementation has further been accelerated by the development of the new challenges that forces the educational institutions to close globally. Online learning as a second key word here for us has proven its success throughout the past years on many different aspects and situations. However, as applies to Qatar, there are a little bit of like a lower side of the studies that have been examined the user experience within the online learning, honestly speaking. So the online learning experience between the instructors and the students have to be more focused by the Qatar University and within this region here. And the way that I decided to go through this study is by using the analytical comparison, using the AHP and the consistency factors to analyze and develop a recommendation out of this study. On the acknowledgement part, I just want to highlight, I would like to acknowledge Qatar University committee members for their guidance and Dr. Pilsung Choe, who is to be my supervisor during this master studies. So I just want like to mention their names here for their support and guidance throughout this study. Okay, moving to the thesis statement. This paper aims to focus on improving user experience with online learning, as I've said, using the analytical comparison between instructors and students in Qatar University. So the great new insight on user experience with online learning in Qatar while exploring potentials for process efficiency. The research focus is going to be around on this study since it was limited to evaluate the user experience with online learning in Qatar to answer a formulated search problems, an analytical comparison technique where data was collected from the past academic studies and a detailed survey was carried out as part of this thesis paper. In addition to educational institution report reviews throughout during this paper development. The research aim and objective is moving around. The aim of this study is to explore and update the literature on online learning used in the state of Qatar and examine their impacts on improving the user experience between the instructor and students. So perhaps you may ask the question among yourself, why I always mention the user experience about online learning? Because here what it is, you are going to see in the next part of this presentation that I will be focusing on how to improve the user experience into this process. I'm not going to focus on the online learning, how to do the online learning itself. In fact, I'm going to examine how I can improve the end user experience to make his online learning experience the best at it be. The importance of this study, since the user experience is important for a key reason based on the identified knowledge gap in the academic literature. Online learning in Qatar has not received substantial interest from researchers and practitioners. So undertaking this study was a key to explore updated information on improving user experience between the instructors and the students. Insight drawn from this study will help to understand the new technologies implemented in Qatar and even worldwide for the reason for their uptake. In addition to comparing and contrasting for their process efficiency. The dissertation is organized as the following. It is, of course, started with the literature review on the different criteria that are impacting the online learning, focusing on the tools and devices in particular. Then moving to the methodology and the strategies that were used to collect the data to answer the formulated research aims and objectives, including the survey's result obtained from Qatar University's faculties and the students. Then the detailed from the collected results and discussions with a specific focus on improved overall user experience of online learning in Qatar and sold the route as potential options that may be used in the future. So to start on the literature review, just giving you some insights on the best definition that I could find in the literature for online learning is an education that takes over the internet, which is also known as the e-learning. So the most promising features of the online learnings can be known, which is a better learning experience, convenience and flexibility to the users, high quality students, instructors interactions, because they have some tools to interact within each other, more students enrollment at once. There is no space limitations for the classroom. Growing in the popularity, more cost effective, and high retention rate. So this is about the advantages over the e-learning versus the like normal classroom learning. So in this paper, the analytical hierarchy process, AHP, has been used to analyze the most important factors that impacts the user experience in online learning between instructors and students across several details elements. So as you know, the AHP process is formulated in mainly 3 different steps, where to structure the problem, then evaluation, and then going to the choice selection. So the structure is being used since very long time, like over 30 years ago, and it is one of the successful process to analyze the data since that time up to date. So even many of the researchers are relying on this process for their data analysis. The HP definition could be described as shown in this figure. So I have used the same definitions that used by Dr. Sati 30 years ago and tested the scale from 1 to 9 based on their testing result. This scale was accepted by the AHP developers. So I have used the same scale in my analysis for the selected or the collected data on the survey that you are going to see in the next slide, which is explained here. The value from 1 to 9. If it is 1, that means it's equally important. If it is 9, it is extremely important parameters or feature against the other. And the reciprocal is the opposite of that. So if you give something a rating of 6, the other one will be given the reciprocal 1/6. And you will see later on. To combine with AHP process, we need to understand more about the consistency factor for this data analysis. The consistency factor is an important tool also for the evaluation and quality and identifying the potential issues or anomalies in the data set. The consistency factor is typically calculated by comparing the difference between each value in a data set and the average or the expected value, and then summing these differences. A lower consistency factor values indicates that the data points are more consistent and less variable. The higher consistency factor, where the value suggests that the data points are more variable and less consistent. By using the consistency factor in the AHP analysis, the analytics professionals can ensure that the decision-making process are reliable and accurate as possible, and that only they can be made with the best sound on the methodology that you will be seeing in the next slide. This concept is used in this paper to analyze the user experience in online learning, considering multiple factors that influence the overall performance of the user experience. So as I said in this paper, the focus is going to be on the features that are directly affecting the user experience in online learning. Based on the literature review, I have found that communication and internet quality are the most contributing features on the user experience in considering its all types and form. So that's why I kept them one of the key features for this study. Moving on to the methodology that been used in this paper to evaluate the below features listed, considering 4 factors on each feature. So if we consider the online learning user experience, if we analyze it across the communication tool, where we have the easiness to use, effectiveness, effective display, effective uh, discussion, and effective writing. Then the communication device, writing devices, talking device, audio device, and visual device. Communication styles could be verbal, non-verbal, and visual or written. The internet quality would be across the speed, stability, connectivity, security. Virtual platforms, easy to register in the platform, ability to invite others, accessibility, and popularity. Activities could be as a lectures, meetings, labs, gathering events, and finally assessments, which could be as a pop-up quizzes, essay type of questions, multiple choice, and the immediate feedback. So these features for the online learning experience process were assessed among a sample of students and faculties. So a survey was performed across a sample of 200 users from Qatar universities, instructors, and students to get their user experience with online learning process, considering the above listed criteria that I showed earlier with different features. Data rating scales were collected via the survey using a tool called Cervicate, which is a website that can develop for you a survey in different forms and in different types, where you can easily collect the data from your sample end users. And there were 28 questionnaires smartly developed for this study to get their feedback on their experience. The data were analyzed using the HP and consistency factor for each criteria to develop the study outcomes. The first criteria is the communication tool. As you can see here in the table below, or uh, the table below, the criteria has 4 different alternatives as shown below. It's clear from the figure that the most important alternatives in communication tool is the effective display. The effective display is resulting in the higher indicator, so it's like to be the most important factor for this alternative, as per the survey result. Then the second criteria is the communication devices. Out of the communication devices, the display found to be the most important one, because it's interact with the different users, and this is important if somebody is seeing a thing. Next one is the communication style. Non-verbal style have been found as the most important across all the survey result, as its highest indicator. So again, the communication has different areas: style, device, and the tools. The fourth criteria, which is the most important one, it's found to be the security factor, having the highest number here due to its importance. So if the network is insecure, for sure nobody would like to be enrolled at. Next is the virtual platform, where the popularity plays a role here. If the virtual platform is popular, for sure it will be adding a value to the user experience. And the activities, most likely to be lectures, because lectures are the main type of activities that is important to the instructor and the students. Finally is the assessment. The assessment feature got the immediate feedback factor as the highest result, because it is simplifying the process of the feedback to the instructor and fasten it to the students. So when you do the assessment online, the instructor can roll in the assessment, and then it will be automatically assessed and send the feedback to the student automatically also. So based on this survey, the result on the sample of 200 end users, 100 instructors, and 100 students using SATI scale HP analysis, the pairwise comparison table have been developed as well. So this table, using the HP scale from 1 to 9, as I said earlier, where we are doing pairwise comparison between each alternatives against each other based on the importance of one on the another. So if you see communication tool with the communication tool will be equally important, and similarly down the line on the table for other alternatives. But for example, when you assess the communication tool versus the internet quality, the internet quality is the more important than the communication tool. That's why it's showing here 9, and the internet quality is 1/9, which is 0.11. So I have populate all the numbers here based on the review and the analysis using the SATI scale from 1 to 9, and these are the numbers. From this total sum table, we can easily tell that the internet quality found to be the most important, followed by the second lowest, which is activities or the assessment. We can see in the next table for more clearer pictures and recommendations. The pairwise comparison with corresponding to the eigenvectors table is shown below also. When we rate those numbers, or when we scale it down using the AHP tool, this will be the end result as a final end result. The internet quality showing the highest, followed by activities and assessment. And then we have the communication tools, devices, and style. If we club them together, we will get around 11%. Then it will be the last one, the virtual platform, which is 8%. So in conclusion, this paper, we studied the user experience in online learning in Qatar University by using AHP analysis with pairwise comparison to select the best criteria and the best alternatives. So we find that the most important alternatives is the internet quality due to its high eigenvector, which is 35.29%. The most important factor in the internet quality found to be the security. Next will be the activities alternatives, as it's also result in some importance with an average of score of 23% due to the nature and physical engagement of the users within the online learning process and the activities. So the major factors in the activities found to be the lectures due to its importance to the instructors and the students. Then the assessment alternatives come to the next with an average score of 22%, mainly due to the importance of the instructors and students in the online learning process. So the most contributing factor in the assessment found to be the immediate feedback. And the communication tool, device, and style are equally moderate importance with an average score of 10 to 11% if we sum them all together. And for the communication style is found to be the most important factor is non-verbal communication, where we can consider by seeing or by sign or body language, all of it. And lastly, on the importance of the virtual platform, with an average score of 8.6%, the most important factor in the virtual platform found to be the popularity based on the survey data. So by now I reached the end of my presentation, and I would like to open the floor for you to any questions that you might have. Please.